Our first question would just be if you could explain to us your motivation for seeking this congressional seat again. I guess I need to say again.
Sure. I think it's pretty basic. I love our country. I love where I live here in northeastern Pennsylvania. I ran for Congress in 2008, and to be honest with you, it was very hard for me to sit back and not try again. Since that election in 2008, since November, unemployment's gone from 7.7% to 9.7%. Our national debt's gone from $9 trillion to over $12 trillion, we're not creating jobs. We're going deeper in debt, and I think, honestly, for the first time, this generation. I mean, I have a one-year-old grandson. He turned one yesterday, and if we look back, I believe every generation has left the next generation a better opportunity. And I think that's happened, as long as we can remember. And this might be the first time that we today can honestly say that the next generation will have it as good as we do, with the debt that we are, with the national security issues that we have. I just couldn't sit on the sidelines. I needed to get involved.
What suggests to you that the outcome will be different than in 2008, 2002?
Well, there's a number of reasons. Politically, I started earlier this time from the '08 election, which has allowed me to organize sooner, raise more capital, which is needed in the campaign. And as far as the environment, it's much different right now. What I felt had an effect on the last campaign and the last election is Barack Obama. There were a lot of first-time voters who came out to vote, especially in Monroe County. We saw that. I don't believe a lot of those voters will be out this time. I don't believe Obama will be as much of an asset to the Democrat as he was in '08. I believe the environment is different. Many people, as I said, unemployment's going up, and people are angry and worried. It's a different environment. So I believe there's a lot of factors that are different in this election from just 2 years ago.
As of December, if I read correctly, you were still carrying a significant debt, or what I consider a significant amount of debt from the 2008 campaign. That would be a deterrent for me when making a decision to run again. I haven't paid for the last time, especially a campaign that stresses that government overspends and relies too much on borrowed money, and now the campaign is borrowing money. Take us through that thought process.
Well, what I did in part of my, coming to make a decision on whether or not I was going to run again, one, I needed to see if I still had support, not only here at home, but nationally. I had 8,000 donors in my last campaign, and I wanted to, one, try to retire some of that debt, and two, gauge the level of support that I had. So I had sent out, which was well publicized, I sent out a retire the debt letter nationally around, and the returns were really one of the things that helped make up my mind. Not only did I receive checks, $5, $10, they weren't large denominations, but $5, $10, $20, but it was the notes and the prayers that people put in the envelope with them, and it was just amazing for me. To read, from people I've never met before in my life, saying that they're praying for me, or, we need you in Washington, and, thank you for your courage. And it was just those little notes and prayer cards, and the amount of checks that I received again, although maybe not a lot of money, but I realized that there was still support nationally for people who wanted to see me in Washington represent them.
What about the support of the National Republican Party? Have they offered you assurances in terms of what they can offer you this
Well, this is my third time around the block, so, I know the way it goes, and I'm not going to rely on Washington, although I know how it will work. If I'm competitive and a race, this is a seat that I could win. I'm sure there'll be interest in my campaign. If I'm not, obviously, they're going to look at other races around the country. You know, I may not have known that the first time I ran, and you know, the second time, but I understand the way it's going to work. It's going to be up to me. If this is a close race, I'm sure I'll get more help. And I anticipate it'll be a close race, so you know, if that help comes, that's fine. But I'm not going to rely on it. I'm going to do what I can. I realize I will never, ever raise as much money as my opponents, only because of the district that I'm in. You know, there are not as many Republicans as Democrats here. The last election, they raised $7 million to keep me out of Washington. In this district, Obama won by 17 points, and Congressman Kondrasky only beat me by 3. They spent $7 million in the race, and we spent $1.1 million. So, I won't need to raise, nor could I raise what they're going to spend, but I'll raise what I need to win, and we're going to count on average people. Again, that's what, you know, got me so close the last time.
Did the party encourage you to run? Because that's the rumor that I heard. And take that for what it's worth. But I heard that the party was interested in gaining the seat, and they asked you to run.
I think my name must be on the walls somewhere down there, because I would get calls from people I didn't even know, different congressmen, or, you know, I've had a lot of encouragement. You know, from the past year, from right after I lost, you know, there was still interest in me running again. I believe most people believed that I had won that race. And honestly, I say this, probably the only person who was more surprised than me election night was Congressman Kondrasky. Just from the way the polling was going throughout the campaign, and I don't think anybody ever anticipated the Obama tsunami that occurred, the first time voters that really didn't register on anybody's radar screen. With that being said, looking at the environment today versus 2008, some very unpopular votes as well. The stimulus, the bailout, the health care. I believe it's fair to say that this is probably one seat nationally where the challenger, the underdog, has a chance to win again.
And I want to talk about those national issues in more detail. But first, if you can tell us, has the 11th Congressional District, in your opinion, been poorly served in recent years, and in what ways?
Well, you know, naturally, you know, I believe, you know, everybody always thinks they could be served better by their elected officials. And I'm the mayor for 10 years, and, you know, people always feel that they could be better served. I think what we're seeing, and you could just look at Congress's own approval ratings, you know, and I would be willing to bet if we polled here again, those numbers would probably mirror the feelings in other districts, that people feel that their representatives in Washington have lost touch with the average person. I mean, this is mainly a blue-collar, hard-working area, and I would be willing to bet that most people feel that the congressman has lost touch with them. You know, there may have been a time, I mean, they're a long time. 20-some years is a long time to be in Congress, and I wish there were term limits to prevent that. But there may have been a time when he served this district well, but I really think Washington changed him, and he didn't change Washington.